Well, yes, indeed, we're focusing on that as it regards concerns the economy. We've got Dr. Steve Owazie here with us, the CEO of Net Solutions and first country manager of IBM West Africa. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Good morning. Thank
you,
Chamberlain.
As we're heading there, but about this economy, the borrowing, trying to finance the 2017 budget, quite a number of people have raised concerns. But the government says, look, you've got nothing to worry about. We've got this covered, and they can handle the challenges associated with those borrowings. Are you in any way concerned or satisfied with the explanations they've given?
Well, I would say that I do have some concerns. You know that for a while we've been in a recession, and naturally you would expect us to have some increase in our spending pattern to work our way out of the recession. So yes, if you want to borrow, it's not like it sounds that bad, but what worries me is, have you done a thorough analysis of what you're going to spend the money on and the value that it brings back into the system?
Because they talked about the second runway for Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport, of course financing the budget building, Mambila, the plants there. Of course, we all know the importance of power. So those projects, when they do come on stream, being financed with that money, if they do get it, that will make some impact, wouldn't it?
Well, yes, but you have to ask some critical questions. Now, if I may borrow from Governor Peter Obi, former governor of Anambra State, where he says that, the only way you can get out of recession is by spending. Now, there are two ways. Either you are spending from your savings or you're spending from borrowed money. Now the question now becomes, what exactly are you spending that borrowed money on? And if you don't take time to do the analysis that goes with it, to make sure that the infrastructures we're talking about do have a critical path to helping the nation grow its economy, then it will become a problem to repay those loans.
But why do you think that they may not spend it on things that will get us, build the infrastructure and get us out of recession?
Well, I didn't say they won't spend it, but I'm only asking a question.
Those are your concerns?
Those are my concerns, yes, because what I'm saying is, if I look at the way we've done things in this country for quite some time now, the government most of the time before now probably relied mostly on PPP type of projects in doing all these major infrastructures. And those are things that you do that have critical and very complex policies, and that is why they have not worked very well. So in my opinion, I would then say, yes, have they done a due diligence to understand what's involved and get some private people involved in what they want to spend on these things before they borrow? Because borrowing is not the point. The issue is you have to make sure you're not borrowing something you cannot repay, and therefore mortgaging our future young youths of this country.
So that's the business sense of it.
Because, yes, that's where I come in.
That's the business sense of it. Right. But what would you say to borrowing in hard currency, $5.5 billion, and then having 2.5 of that to service local debts? Local debts, of course, has got very high interest rates. So will that be a business sense in that explanation?
Well, yes, it could be, in the sense that if you're replacing a loan or a debt you already have, which has a very high interest rate, and then you are amortizing it with under foreign currency with a much lower interest rate, and maybe spreading it to a long time, it would sound like it's a good thing. But what you are not saying is what happens about our forex exchange rate tomorrow, in the sense that Nigeria is a very reliant country on oil. And if you know how other countries today, China, India, for instance, they are all talking about going towards electric cars in the next five to 10 years. Now, if we don't manage that very well, it then means that you will have an overhang on that debt, even though it sounded like you replaced the current ones with a lower interest.
So in other words, it's not sustainable?
I don't think it's very sustainable.
Why is it not sustainable? Is it because of the government policies?
Yes, as I said, the policies are one aspect of it, but how you manage those things that you spend the money on to make sure that the money is well spent and get the actual results you want, because you must have revenue coming in to be able to pay your debt. There's no other way out.
Former President Olusegun Obasanjo got us out of the Paris Club debt. Yes. And to this point, we have a lot of praises have gone to him. Would you say that if we go this way of borrowing, because initially it was a proposition of about $30 billion, but I think that was turned down. Now we have this 5.5 and is looking to go. Will there be a situation where we are able to manage our borrowing such that we do not incur a situation that we had during the Obasanjo regime, and thankfully he was able to get us out of it? Is this a trap?
Well, once again, not being exactly involved with the government directly, I may not be able to answer you directly to say it's a trap. But I am saying, though, that for me, sitting from where I am, it's a big risk that must be well analyzed before we go further. For instance, during the time of Obasanjo that you're talking about, when I was still in IBM, I know that there are programs where you can build your infrastructure without spending the money itself, which is probably what we should be talking about rather than borrowing to spend. Now, in this case, I'm talking about a build, operate, and transfer where the government engaged with private sector. A lot of private sector investors are ready to help us with some of these infrastructures, and they know how to manage them better, and they know how to roll them out better to get the actual results for get the value for the money, right? And if you go that route, what it means is that you are not borrowing, but yet you're getting the critical infrastructures in place that you need to move the country forward without the debt overhang.